All right, welcome back. 10 schools are either partially or totally closed in Isiolo and Meru counties due to severe damage in the classrooms and sanitation blocks caused by recent floods. Learners are temporarily accommodated in neighboring schools as a way of preventing them from missing lessons, even as teachers decry congestion in classes, forcing some lessons to be conducted under trees. Enrollment in the affected schools has also gone down due to the long distance covered by learners. 2 schools have been closed down by the Department of Public Health over health and safety hazards. Our reporter Margaret Kimathi visited the schools in Meru and Isiolo counties and now files this report.
Ensconced between this plateau and our Sonyiro River is Merti town in Isiolo North constituency. It is one of the hard-hit areas by the recent floods after River Sonyiro burst its banks, flooding the schools, homes and destroying other crucial infrastructure like boreholes. Out of 10 schools located in this small town, 7 are not operating normally after key infrastructure was damaged by the floods that displaced over 2,000 learners. The impact of the rains in this part of the country was so intense that 2 schools have been rendered unfit for habitation by the sub-county education officer. Hamza Primary is one of the schools across the county that has failed to open for the second term on account of the impact of floods. The school was left in ruins. The pit latrines bore the brunt of flooding. They are submerged and filled with water. Over 300 pupils have stayed away from the school. Their classes long flooded have dried out, but in the wake of those floods, the structural integrity of the classrooms was compromised, and cracks on the wall are visible even to the naked eye. Silt from the floods has carpeted classrooms floor. From the blackboard, the last time learning took place in this class was on 22nd March.
Vile tuko sasa madrasa yameharibiwa, vyoo vimeharibiwa, uwanja kila mahali imepasuliwa mtaro. Ni kama tumehamishwa na hatuna mahala pa kurudi hapa tena kwa sababu tayari ishaharibika na haitupatii hata nafasi ya kuweza kuiangalia kwa mara nyingine tena.
Beyond the classrooms, the floods damage has extended to the entire school compound. The waterlogged field cannot be used by pupils. Mohamed Jasso says they were also affected by floods last year in November and December.
Na kama tunaamua kuondoka sasa ni kama tunaacha hii madrasa yote pamoja na facilities ambayo tumeinvest hapa yote tuiache tuondoke tukaende tukatafute mahali mpya. Na tukihama na tuiache kitu vile inakaa haiwezi kuwa ina gharimu chini ya shilingi milioni 15. Sababu tuko na madrasa 9 ya permanent na nyumba za matope, vyoo, jikoni, hata msikiti ya watoto.
The school has been declared unfit for habitation and therefore closed completely. Affected pupils have been forced to seek refuge in an abandoned orphanage.
Watoto 337 ndio tayari tushawaondoa na tukawapeleka sehemu nyingine mahali ambayo ilikuwa ni orphanage center zamani. Orphanage walihama, hiyo project ikavunjika, ikabaki madometri zao tu. Sasa hizo madometri ndio tumeigeuza kuwa ni mahala watoto wanaenda kusomea sasa.
After being displaced from Hamza Primary School, the learners found themselves in this orphanage where they are facing numerous challenges. This dormitory is currently hosting 4 classes which are separated by curtains. In this first area, we have the playgroup class. The second area, we have the PP1 class, PP2 and grade 1. Al-Zakat Orphanage Center was abandoned a few years ago after it failed to receive funds from the sponsors. Upon arriving at the facility, it was converged at a parade. The school's journalism club highlighted the challenges they have been facing since their school closed due to floods.
Hali sio hali katika shule ya Hamza ambao iliathirika vibaya. Madarasa yalipomoka, vyoo kuzama na vitabu kusombwa na maji. We have now been shadowed by sorrow. We are still urging our leaders to hear out our cry because as teaching time truly saves 9 for us to rebuild and rise.
The pupils also aired their grievances through a poem highlighting the strenuous situation.
Nitaikumbuka daima mafuriko yalivyotanda karibu shule yetu tukibaki tukiranda. Vyoo vilizama, vitabu vitabu vilisomwa, masikini tukadua, tukakosa pa kuenda.
Tumekosa hata pa kuandika, vitabu vilienda. Tumekuwa sasa omba, maskini ajabu. Madarasa yalibomoka, sasa hatuna makao. Maituacha bila makao, maji tulikosea wapi?
When we went there, the only things that we could save were the gadgets, that is the ICT gadgets, that is the printer, some of the textbooks that were not that were raised higher on the shelves that were there, because the downer shelves, all the textbooks that were there in the downer shelves, all of them were swept away with the flood.
Here, the classrooms are inadequate, forcing pupils to learn under trees. The school's head teacher, James Matunga, says the school enrollment has dropped following the long distance covered by the pupils. Some learners are trekking up to 5 kilometers to access the orphanage cum school. The books are also not enough, as majority were destroyed by floods.
Where we are, we don't have enough classroom, and that is why some learning takes place maybe under the tree, just because there are not enough classrooms. You could see learners praying under the tree just because there are no enough classrooms where they can maybe take all normal activities that they used to take on the other side.
The parents are also feeling the heat.
Wazazi tumepata changamoto kubwa kwa sababu tumeama huko. Saa hii mimi nilikuja na mtoto ya hiyo PP1 na grade 2 kwa mguu 3 kilomita mahali ambaye inaitwa Olagana karibu na shule ya Hamza. Maji watoto wanabeba na mkono malitas kwa sababu hakuna maji hapa, lakini zamani mali tulikuwa tuna maji, borehole tulikuwa tu karibu yetu, hata mto yote inapitia karibu yetu.
Shule iko mbali, yote waende tembea kwa mguu, lazima nitafute namna ama nitafute nikomboe bike alafu peleka mtoto wangu. Sasa nimetoa moja, sasa nikomboe tu hapa sasa. Ni mbali sana hata kwangu. Wangu uko mbali na shule sasa. Mtu hawezi fika shule kwa mguu.
Saa zingine utakuta by 7 hata fisi bado wako within town. Kuna wakati unaamka unawakuta within town, na sasa watoto wakiwa wanatembea kwenda shule hiyo masaa before 7, it's quite risky.
At yet another school in the area, the classes remain empty. The pupils of Meru South Muslim Girls Primary School have stayed away from school after their textbooks and other learning materials were destroyed by flood waters. A month ago in Isiolo North Sub-County, these classes at Meru South Primary School were partially submerged, displacing hundreds of students. Some students are being hosted in the neighboring schools.
The school which was highly affected is my school, that is Meru South Muslim Girls. The school was totally flooded. All our assets and resources were submerged, flooded. Three semi-permanent classes are totally destroyed.
The waters have receded, but damage has already been done, with the school's infrastructure taking the heat. The classrooms have not only been damaged, but access to the school has also been hampered, as River Wasonyiro has carved a path for itself through the school. Floods destroyed 7 of 8 sanitation blocks, leaving the school inheritable.
When it comes to the learning resources, most of our books of various learning resources have been distracted. And in fact, we are being loaned by the schools which are assisting us, which are hosting us, to lend us some textbooks so that teachers can assist, can implement the curriculum implementation.
The over 200 pupils are being accommodated temporarily in the neighboring schools, pending rehabilitation of the damaged infrastructure. At 6 o'clock in the morning, Meru South Muslim Girls pupils slowly make their way to Meru Boarding Primary School and Meru School for the Deaf, where they have been hosted since the beginning of second term. During morning parade, a distinct feature that catches the eye are the different uniforms.
And we have made several efforts to make them comfortable, whereby we have provided them with even the textbook, the much we can. They are using our water and all facilities. And these facilities, some of them, they are not even enough. including the latrines they are using.
Deputy head teacher of Meru Boarding Primary School, Halima Golo, says the school has a population of 400 pupils, and with an addition of 250 pupils, they have been forced to merge classes, which is affecting learning.
We have pushed some classes together. That is another challenge because of the congestion. It has also forced us to move the giant classes of GSS, which are supposed to be accommodated in 2 classes. We have congested them in one hall, whereby in the same hall, we are using it as our store for the WFP, there for the school feeding program. Now you can see we can accommodate in the food plus the learners who are inside that hall.
Meru Sub-County Director of Education Ismail Hooker says the fact that pit latrines in some of the schools were totally submerged by flood waters made the institutions unsuitable to host learners and staff due to health concerns. His office had made arrangements for neighboring mosques to allow them use their sanitation blocks so that learners do not lose a lot of time as they wait for rehabilitation of the damaged infrastructure.
We also made our appeal clear to the KICD, to the Ministry of Education, to provide those reading materials destroyed by the floods. For Meru South Girls Primary and Hamza, even the classrooms have been distracted completely, including even the reading materials. But for other schools like Khalifa, Meru South, Gamachu and Munandanur, it's only the sanitation that has been affected. That is why we have them there.
We have an emergency response committee. Ambayo we are working together. We have identified a suitable place ambapo tunaweza hamishia hizo shule, both Hamza and Meru South Muslim Girls ziweze kwenda kwa raised grounds ili kuzuia future effects of flooding.
The affected schools include Maki Primary and Secondary Schools, Khalifa Primary and Khalifa Girls Secondary Schools, Gamachu Primary School, Hamza Primary School, Blandanur Primary, and Meru South Muslim Girls Primary School. 300 kilometers from Meru Sub-County, we head to the neighboring Meru County, where 3 schools have also been affected by floods in Buri constituency. When we arrived at Kadhuene Primary School, we found some pupils gathered under scattered trees in the sweltering sun. This has become their new classroom after 3 classrooms were submerged by floods, destroying learning materials. The classrooms and pit latrines have been closed down by the Department of Public Health over health and safety hazards.
Sasa hata darasa 2 zimeporomoka wakati wa mvua. Sasa grade 5 and 6 wako nje. Hakuna darasa wako naye, wanasomea nje. Hata baridi, watoto wanaingia darasani asubuhi na baridi, hata walimu wengine wamegojeka sana sababu ya baridi.
The teachers say they have been struggling to teach pupils under such difficult conditions. Other affected schools are Njurota Primary School and Dujuruma Primary School.
Sasa hapa tunaomba serikali itusaidie kama kuna uwezekano tujenge hizo darasa 2 na tutakaa nje mpaka lini. Na kukiendelea mvua ikikuja tena tutaenda wapi? Na hata hii jua kali watoto wataendelea kusomea wapi?
The ball is now on the national government's court to move with speed and help rehabilitate those damaged infrastructure to restore normalcy so that learners from the affected schools are not disadvantaged in the long run. Margaret Kimathi, NTV in Isiolo County.